Hi everyone. So welcome in, welcome in. So today we are talking about neural hacks that can put you in the top 1%. If you are an attorney and you feel like you are struggling and you really want to get to the top, you really feel like you are experiencing burnout or difficulty in work life balance, or even if you're not, even if you feel very balanced in your work and your life, and you just feel like, you want to get to the next level, you want to be more efficient in your work, you want to get better at managing your workload or whatever else you have happening in your life, then you are in the right place. The answer is not working harder. It's not going to a meditation retreat. The answer I found lies in the small hacks that we can incorporate in our days, in our work, and really make them a part of the way that we practice. So, even if you're not an attorney, a lot of these tips are actually, all of these tips are universally applicable. So, you can really take this information and level up your life overall in whatever aspect that it might be useful to you. I am Janaire Hines. I am a practicing attorney. And before I opened my law firm 10 years ago, I really wanted to make sure that I saw how the law worked in a lot of different aspects. So during law school, in my first few years out of law school, I worked, in a lot, most of these are internships during law school, but I worked in legal aid. I worked in the big fancy corporate law firms. I worked in the government doing federal prosecution. I worked in house counsel. I made sure to touch as much of it as possible just to see how different lawyers practice, how the law works in different aspects, and how the systems work. How did people running these big law firms structure the way that they handle their cases versus a boutique law firm, which is where I started my career? And I took all of that information and I went and opened my own practice when I felt like I was ready. And when I did that, I had a wealth of knowledge. I've learned from the best lawyers in every aspect, all these different areas of law. And I took all of that into my own practice and I was going for it. I was taking on the high profile cases and I was doing, a lot of really great, really meaningful work. And as I was doing that work and really looking back at my mentors and everyone I learned from, I realized that a lot of those lawyers were still stressed. People were stressed in different ways, at different levels, for different reasons. But I really felt like the answer was not in the way that they were practicing, but that I would have to find those answers outside of the law. And that's really when I started dive, deeping, dive, diving deep. That's when I really started diving deep into neuroscience and evolutionary psychology and all these different aspects of law, into sales and different aspects that have really studied humans and really studied our brains and our emotions to really dissect how we work. And so, a lot of the tips that I'm going to share today come from those studies. I'm going to share, I have 10 here, but I don't want this video to be too long. So, we'll see how many of them we can get through. But I focused on some tips that are really easy to implement, but that are also very powerful and they're also scientifically proven. So we'll just wing it today. I don't have a super like structured video for you, whereas All of these are very structured, all of these are really powerful, but we'll just see what we get through. So, one of the first tips that will get you in the top 1% is reducing micro decisions. So, basically, one of the energy suckers for all of us humans is, we've all heard about decision fatigue, but it's really those micro decisions that we make and thousands and times a day, that can really use up a lot of mental space. And so reducing micro decisions is something we can do by implementing routines. So having a morning routine, having an evening routine, that's obviously pretty easy and self-explanatory. But even within my practice, even within my day, I have routines for certain things. So, for example, I have a segment of my day where I will answer leads, right? Call back leads. I have a routine for how I do that. So every time I sit down to do it, I'm not thinking, okay, let me see. I need to do this. I need to do that. No, I sit down and it's already set for me. And so I can go, okay, this is the first thing, second thing, third thing. I'm done. I didn't have to make a ton of decisions. And I've really focused on the meat of what I need to do. So everybody's practice is different, right? And if you're not an attorney watching this, then how you work is also different. Think about your day and all the different things you do each day, and just set up some simple routines for them. So if you know that a part of your day is making phone calls, set a routine for making your phone calls. What order am I going in? Go in the same order all the time. How do I document the calls that are done? All of that stuff you can turn into a routine, and that way you streamline the process and reduce all those micro decisions. Next one, number 2. I'll number them even though we may not get to 10. I'll go ahead and number them. I'm actually going to blend two of these. So, one of them is identity segmentation, and I'm going to mirror that also with parallel identity modeling. So, identity segmentation is this idea that you can define who you are in certain moments. So, for example, when I'm in court, I am using a different personality or a different part of my personality than when I'm talking to clients on the phone, for example. So when I'm in, client calls, I'm using a lot more empathy. My I'm more relaxed, I'm more in a listening state versus when I'm in court and I'm at the podium, I have notes. I'm very sharply going through, my awareness is on so many different things that are happening at the same time. And so, to save myself energy in making sure that I'm not using energy I don't need to use in certain situations. So, not when I'm in a client meeting, not being in that like intense energy of paying attention to anything when it's not necessary. I'm using up more energy than I need to. Then I will segment my personality for those different moments. And when I say I'll um, also blend that with parallel identity modeling, it's really about being able to like bounce back faster between tasks. I'll talk about that one more later or in another video if this one gets too long. But really, what it's about is being able to switch back and forth so that you're not wasting your energy and wasting efficiency, if that makes sense. Let me know if you have questions and if that is clear for you. Another one, I'll say number 3, is it's really about the Zeigarnik effect, and it's about offloading the mental RAM. So what happens is in our minds, we have things that are going all the time, right? So for example, in my day, I may need to do laundry, right? Say I'm working from home today. I need to do laundry. I have this client I need to call back. I have um, some notes that I wanted to write down from a book that I read early in the morning, but I got a call that interrupted me and I didn't get a chance to do it. So I have all these different things happening in my brain at the same time. And I may be working on something right now, but my mind is still trying to keep track of all the things that I have to do. And, we know there's a statistic that 40% of a lawyer's day is spent on interruption. So, phone calls coming in, an email that needs to be answered, some emergency that just popped up, a client just got arrested. So many things are happening, even outside of the structure that we've already set for our day. So, how I handle this, I always have a notebook. This this is one of them that I have that I've used. Have so many of these over time. I use one at a time, really, but I especially like the ones that are like they have the wire atop and you can flip them over. That way, when I'm totally done with a page, I just rip it out. With these books, the ripping it out is not so great because the book gets thin. But I always try to keep a notebook and I write down those little things. I like the ones that are super small because I can keep them like in my purse, or I've tried to find ones that go on my phone or that are wallet size. But I write a lot, so I sometimes need a bigger book. But I try to, whenever you remember, okay, I need to do that. I need to call that person back. I'll just write it down in my book. Oh, those notes I need to take, I'll just write it down in my book. Take notes. Or if something pops up and interrupts my day, instead of having to stop what I'm working on and go and work on this other thing, I might say, okay, I'm just going to take a moment to work on that, or just to write it down, keep working on what I'm doing, and then I can come back to that later. What it does is it frees up your mental space and it stops that looping that's happening in your brain all the time. And because you have it written down, it reduces the stress that's associated with knowing that you have these tasks to get back to. So it's sort of like taking it out of your brain, putting it on paper, and clearing up that mental space so that you can actually work on the things that are important. So let me pause here. Let me just make sure. Uh, Good. You can still hear me, right? Good. Okay, so we're 15 minutes in. So I'll just do two more. Again, not wanting this video to get too long. Um, I'll do two more, and then maybe if you want to see more of these, if you want to hear a bit more, then just go ahead and leave a comment and let me know, and I'll be sure to come back because I have tons of these that I've learned from all my different studies. So, another one that we can do, we'll say this is number 4, is energy mapping. So, what energy mapping is, it's kind of having a good sense of what drains you and what energizes you in your work. So for me, for example, I love writing motions. I love writing motions. I love writing arguments. That's the part of my work that is like so exciting to me. I love sitting down, getting a case and like brainstorming like, okay, my client is in this situation. There's no way out. What can we do? Okay, maybe if we do it this way. I can strategize this way. We can send this letter first. Wait, if there's no response, then I can also bring in this affidavit. I can get, I can order the video from this place and like throw that in 2 days before, So it's really, that's a part of my job that I really, really love. The part of my job that I don't love is sometimes the busy work of like posting stuff on social media. I like creating the content, but the editing, the trying to post, the da 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 da, like the tracking things, the trying to figure out what the algorithm is doing now. Like that part really does not excite me. So you have to figure out for yourself what those things are. I have my own law firm, so that marketing is a part of it. Maybe for you it's not. And so it may be writing motions versus doing the phone calls, or it may be doing the phone calls. Maybe you love being on the phone with the clients, but you don't love like responding to, all the emails you're getting from opposing counsel. So this is where you can decide two things. You can decide what to outsource and what to keep for yourself. And you can also decide what parts of your day you're going to do what. So for me, I know when my energy is the best. I know in the morning I can pretty much knock out my routine tasks without feeling tired around it. So that's when I'll do a lot of the things that I can create a routine around, but that don't really like give me a lot of energy. By the time the afternoon comes around and my energy starts to dip, I know that's when I want to save all of my like things that I really like to do. So that's when I'll do my writing, my motions, my strategizing, rather than doing it in the morning and then going to the afternoon and having to do those things that I don't really like when my energy is already starting to drop. So that may be one strategy. Another strategy is that I now have people that handle some of my marketing stuff for me. So while I really love doing my motions, I know I could hire like a paralegal to do a lot of that stuff. I really like doing that, so I'm going to keep that for myself. And maybe I'll just hire somebody to do the social media, writing the copy for that or editing the videos for that. And maybe even like I actually enjoy talking to my clients myself rather than having someone talk to them and relay that information to me. So I know a lot of lawyers will outsource that just because it's normal to outsource that. But because I enjoy doing it, I want to do it because it gives me more energy and motivation for my strategizing. So that's one way that I energy map. And like I said, this can apply to anything. So if you're in your home and you prefer cooking over doing dishes, then you may, divide things that way. If you prefer doing laundry over sweeping the floor or something, you may get, a robot vacuum cleaner. I have one of those because I'm not a big fan of sweeping. So it's really about like understanding yourself and using your knowledge of yourself to create a life where you're maximizing the things that you like to do and minimizing the things that you don't, or putting them in places where it's less burdensome for you to do. So, five. I'm going to make this the last one because, like I said, I didn't want this to be a super long video today. The last one we're going to talk about is strengthening your neural pathways with mental rehearsal. So, what does that mean? What does that look like? So, for example, um, I work behind a desk a lot with what I do. I write a lot of motions, I do a lot of documents. When I go to court, I am in court quite often, but I go to court in a lot of different situations. So often, if you are in court a lot, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, it can sometimes be like, um, difficult in the sense that we all have imposter syndrome. No matter how good you are, no matter how confident you seem, most of us have imposter syndrome at some level. And so when you use this neural pathway creation and strengthening, you can create more confidence by practicing things. So, what I mean is, for example, if I have a court hearing today, it's on a motion I don't do very often. I don't, specialize in this necessarily, but I have a client that had this issue come up. And I'm like, okay, I'll handle it for him since I'm handling all his other cases, right? And so if I were to go into that situation cold, I may lack a bit of confidence because, again, this is not something I do all the time. But what I'll do before I go into that court hearing is I'll mentally rehearse. Sometimes I'll start from the end and work my way backwards. So, for example, I may say this is a motion for post conviction relief. I'll say, okay, the end is that the judge gives me what I want, right? And then I work my way backwards for, okay, this is what the state is going to respond. This is what my argument is, and this is how we're initiating this process. And I will go through it and I'll rehearse it and I'll go through in my head, all right, I'm presenting these arguments. Okay, this is how I feel. I feel good. I feel confident. This is what I'm saying. This is what they're going to respond. And I've already mentally rehearsed how I'm going to handle that response. I'm going to stay cool and calm and collected. I have the case law already prepared for when they say that, because you already know what they're going to say most of the times. And so then, yeah, I'll go through and I'll have my responses. This is the question that the judge is going to have, because oftentimes you can already predict the questions the judge is going to have. And then this is how I'm going to respond to that, and this is how the judge is going to rule on in my favor. And I'll go through that a few times. Sometimes new arguments will come up, sometimes new things will come up, and I'll refine that process. By the time I get to court, I'm like, I've done this 30 times already. Maybe not 30 times, but it feels like I've done it 30 times already. I have so much confidence. And as I'm going through the process, I'm so prepared that it's like it's just moving at lightning speed. My energy is light. I'm free. I'm easy. Like, this is so easy to do. I have total confidence in doing whatever it is that I've rehearsed. And we all know the studies about, or maybe I shouldn't say we all know the studies, but we know very well that, oftentimes our brain does not know the difference between what we've rehearsed and what we've already experienced. So you're creating the neural pathways by rehearsing the thing, and then you're strengthening them by continuing to go over that situation in your head. And when you go into the real situation in life, your brain really doesn't know that you haven't been through the situation before. So that's number 5. And as I promised, I'm going to stop here. We're almost at 25 minutes. I have so many more of these that I've implemented, that I've helped other people to implement, that have been so, so powerful in their practices and also in their lives. And I also have a course that has even more structured exposure to these ideas. These ideas are based in evolutionary sciences and neuroscience, cognitive psychology, somatic psychology. Some of these that I've mentioned or that I've jotted down today even overlap in different aspects. Systems thinking is one of them that we work with a lot. So these things will not only help you to reduce your stress in your work as you're going through your day to day, but they will also actively improve your performance. And a lot of times we see that when we see people at the top, they're stressed, and it's hard for us to conceptualize a world where you can get better, you can improve while at the same time making life easier and reducing stress. And that's what all of this is really designed to do. Let me take a look at the comments to see. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and the real situation. Yes, we've seen that, studies on this from sports a lot, where or even people studying this thing in music. I don't know if you're familiar, but the studies about people who will learn how to play something on the piano, and half of this test subjects will actually do it, half of them will mentally rehearse it, and at the end of the studies they both have created those neural pathways. So this is such a powerful tool. Our brains are so powerful if we learn how to use them. And yes, my course is available. I'll put the link in the description. You can go and check out everything that's there. And I'll be able to teach you so many more of these tips in a systematic way that will help you to reduce your stress, to improve your life, to get you some work life balance, regardless of what field you're in. If you're high performing or if you're in a high stress profession, this is perfect for you. So, thank you so, so much for joining. Thank you, Lucky Vic, for the comment and for being here. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Take care. If I can figure out how to end this.